plate method.
What is the plate method?
The plate method is if you take your plate,
Yep.
you divide it. So half of it is vegetables, a quarter of it is protein, and a quarter of it is starches or carbs. Tell me
Plate
how you
method.
tell me how you
Yep.
could do that every meal and not be healthy.
You're right. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm Matt, and
I'm
you all know
Jaleesa.
Jaleesa. She's in most of our videos on Instagram. And if you're listening on the podcast, feel free to follow us on Instagram as well. We have show links, all that good stuff below. Today, we are talking about how to eat healthy over the holidays without going crazy. And I'm just going to throw this over to Jaleesa.
Sure. I feel like I haven't actually been able to be on the podcast in like a few months. So this feels like I'm back.
You're back. And I'm going
Back.
to just be sipping some coffee while you just give us a bunch of wisdom.
Sure. I feel like this is the first time in like years that I've actually been like ahead of schedule where like usually it's like December 24th and I'm like, oh, you guys want help eating healthy for the holidays? Just give me a minute. And it's October and I got it. I'm winning.
Yeah, if you don't know Jaleesa and I personally, Jaleesa is a go-getter, gets stuff done. I'd be more the systemizer, planning stuff. So she's winning.
I'm winning. I feel good about this, and I feel like I have come up with my top five, and I feel good about it. Pretty confident. Yeah. So
Five.
for those of you who don't really know me or my story, I suffered from an eating disorder for many years, and so holidays used to be the most stressful time of year for me. It would always cause me so much anxiety to think about holiday meals, and I think even people who maybe don't struggle to that extreme, I think it can be a really stressful time because I mean we all want to be able to enjoy holiday meals, but when our focus is on health, it can feel like, how can I do both? Right.
And then
And
you
so,
also don't know what healthy is anymore, right? It's so confusing.
totally. And, like the last thing I want for people is to like go to holiday meals and to try and remember all the rules and to think about like, okay, but how many calories are in this? And let me just whip out my phone and quickly calculate all these macros and calories. And I mean, I guess that works for some people, but I just think it takes away from the experience so much. So, the things that I'm going to talk about today, my hope is that they can just give some guidance. And even if you pick one of them and stick to it, like, cool, that's great. That's better than none. And I think this stuff also takes practice. Like, I think it takes a lot of practice to do anything, and nutrition is no different than that. It just takes practice being in certain circumstances and making choices and knowing how you're going to feel when you make those choices. So keep that in mind too. Is like it's okay to practice, and you're not going to get it right every time. But these are things I think that are going to be really simple. So number one is if you get invited to a holiday party, it's really good to just, you maybe have no idea what they're going to serve. Offer to bring something that you know is going to be relatively healthy, or that know that is something that you really enjoy. So that regardless if it's like 17 different types of meat and then a vegetable and then a dessert, maybe you offer to bring a salad. So at least like, okay, cool, I can at least eat one vegetable and then enjoy the rest of these things. So I think just, being able to have some idea of what's going to be there can help some people. And that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the other things, but offering to bring a healthy alternative or a healthy plate is number one. Number two, and this is probably my number one, my number two is my number one, but this is often what I use just to coach my clients too. And if you can do this for every single meal, I can 100% guarantee you're going to be a healthy person, is the plate method. So if you can stick to the plate method
It's a
during
big
holidays,
guarantee.
tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I guess if you're,
Ready?
yeah, no, you're right. I was thinking if you somehow made the plate method all like candy, maybe there's a candy plate method. Sorry, I'm distracting.
It's
You go.
not the plate method.
What is the plate method?
The plate method is if you take your plate,
Yep.
you divide it. So half of it is vegetables, a quarter of it is protein, and a quarter of it is starches or carbs. Tell me
Plate
how you
method.
tell me how you
Yep.
could do that every meal and not be healthy.
You're right.
I mean, I guess if you ate vegetables and then like bacon and a donut for your protein and carbs, like that would be questionable.
But
But
you're still getting like,
you're still
I'm
getting,
not saying that's not ideal. It's obviously that's not ideal, but you're still getting a balanced macro count, right?
you're still getting a half a plate of vegetables. And
Yeah.
if you're truly piling those veggies on there, like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that, but, and I don't think anybody, hopefully I didn't give anyone any ideas, but it, maybe you're currently just eating bacon and a donut, but now you're adding half a plate of vegetables. You're much healthier than before. So that's my number two, which is really my number one, is follow the plate method. So fill your plate with half vegetables, whatever you're having for protein, if it's turkey or ham or ribs or whatever it is, have a little quarter of that, little quarter of your carbs, maybe that's stuffing. Sure, go for it. Just have the plate method and enjoy it. Yeah, number three, I've heard this so much of just like people saying, well, I'm just gonna like skip breakfast and lunch so that I can eat whatever I want for holiday meal supper. And if there's like one way to really like torment yourself is doing it that way, because you're gonna be starving all day. And then I guarantee a lot of things, but I can almost guarantee you're also gonna overeat at your meal. So you're going to be starving half the day and then over full half the day. And that's going to not feel good for anybody. So number three is just to not restrict or try and save up all of your calories for the end of the day. Have regular meals through the day, but maybe try and keep them lighter or healthier than you typically would if you know you're going to go off and enjoy stuffing and pie and whatever. Just meaning like, probably don't have those things for all your meals. So keep eating your normal meals throughout your day, make them nutrient dense, make sure you go to your holiday meal slightly hungry, but not like a 10 out of 10 hungry, like you're going to eat your arm. That is definitely a really important thing that I'll very often hear from people like, oh, I just want to eat all day and then I can have whatever I want. No, don't do that. Number four, alcohol. So I think alcohol can fit into a healthy, nutritious life. I think that it can be enjoyed in moderation. I also think it can be very sneaky and add up calories like crazy if you're not mindful of how much alcohol you're drinking, right? So I always say if you're going to have alcohol, always alternate with water in between. And hopefully you're not having like 20 drinks or something, because that's a lot of fluid, but always be alternating between your water and say it's a glass of wine. You can also be really mindful of choosing alcohol that has less sugar content. So maybe you're choosing a red wine or a dry white, or alcohol companies are very wise and they know that a lot of people who are nutritious want to still drink alcohol. And so there's lots of alcohol options that are lower in calorie and lower in sugar. And so there's lots of things that you can find out there that, isn't going to add 3 or 4 or 5 or 1,000 extra calories to your intake for that meal. So just be really mindful of the alcohol that you are having. Make sure you're drinking lots of water in between those drinks, and sip and savor is a saying that I like to tell my clients too. And then number 5, speaking of drinking, is just hydrating throughout the day. So a really big thing, especially in holiday meals, like there's almost always lots of sodium found in those meals. And we want to make sure that we're just staying hydrated, not just for that meal, but how you're going to feel the next day. Certainly will be impacted by this, and staying hydrated throughout the day can also just help you really be tuned into your hunger and fullness cues. So there's always that saying, like, if you feel really hungry, well, drink water first. And like sometimes, I guess, if you haven't drank any water, that could be a thing. And I don't think that water should replace meals by any means, but certainly just making sure that you're still hydrated throughout the day. And I think this is a good one for every day, but especially during those holiday times too. Just flushing out your system and making sure you've got lots of water on board is also a really super easy thing to do. So nothing here has to be complicated. Nothing has to be like a rule or super strict. But if you can generally follow these guidelines, I think you'll come out of the holidays feeling really good about yourself, but also having been able to enjoy those meals. So those are my 5. Do you have any to add, Matt?
No, I think that's great. You covered it all.
Yeah, I talked about
And enjoy
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
there's a lot of mindset around food, right? It's really overwhelming. Like I stated at the start, it can be overwhelming. You think, well, is this the superfood, or is this the food you're never supposed to eat? And that can become, you can become paralyzed by that, right? You're thinking, I don't know what I can and can't eat. And if you're going to eat something, if you're going to enjoy treats, if you're going to enjoy a family meal, enjoy it, fully
yeah,
enjoy it, savor it, slow it down, and enjoy it for what it is. Time to be with friends and family and
yeah.
create memories.
One of the biggest things that like we often talk about in my client meetings is like guilt around food, and I mean a lot of people struggle with that, and I think like food is just an inanimate object. It's not capable of, it shouldn't be capable of causing us guilt, right? If you went and like stole something, maybe you should feel guilty, but if you ate something, guilt is not an emotion that should be involved with that. So it obviously has a lot to do with other things. And so I always tell people of like, try not to make every occasion just about the food, but remember like why you're celebrating and the people that you are with, and try and focus on the experience as opposed to just the food, right? And one of the biggest things too is like, we always talk about like holiday meals, you got to put your turkey pants on or whatever, so you've got lots of room. But I think like one of the easiest ways to ruin a really great experience is to eat to the point of feeling sick, because you don't want to talk to people then. You're not going to enjoy the experience as much. And so I just think like really slow down, savor every moment, savor being with the people that you're around, and listen to your body. Like slow down, don't overeat. And I always think like eat so that you can eat it again tomorrow. So there's leftovers for tomorrow. So you don't have to do it all at once. And that really helps, I think, people just to think of like, oh yeah, if I don't eat it all now, I could take some home, or I could enjoy this again later. And that solves a lot of problems. So just some more
Yes.
mindset cues to think of too.
Yes. And if you want some more resources, feel free to reach out to us. If you need help
Mhm.
around mindset or meal planning or whatever it might be, again, reach out to us. If you're listening on podcast, please subscribe and give us a rating so we can reach more people with some healthy tips and tricks around nutrition, mindset, and fitness. And then if you are on Facebook right now, listen to this live, invite your friends into here as well if you think they could benefit. Appreciate all you. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.